All right, welcome to another episode of the Paperstac podcast. This is Rick Allen and Brett Berkey here to bring another episode today of something really cool that kind of stumbled upon, created, fell out of Rick's mouth, and now it became
a lot of that happens a lot of times, falling out of my mouth.
And became a whole thing that we are doing, and people are now catching on to this trend that it's a unique opportunity because unlike other things, it's not whatever. I'm gonna let Rick do it. Rick, you explain what we're about to talk about. Because
it's really just an investing concept. At the end of the day, if you're an investor, you're always looking for what? Return on your investment. And this is a way to start raising your returns and making interest on interest.
Right.
Yeah. So it's called yield stacking. And the way it came about was it was last year. I want to say it was in March or April.
It was hot. I remember that.
Maybe it was May or June. We were in Arizona at Noteworthy. Mm-hmm. And we had just come off stage talking about MWMfund. And I was talking to a lady there, and she was, said she was interested in investing. She had a bunch of her money. It was in a self-directed 401k or IRA, just self-directed retirement account. And I asked what she was currently doing. She's like, well, I'm currently buying, I buy rental properties, and I have the rental properties in there, and I just let them build up money, and then I go buy a new one. And I go, well, that money sitting there is kind of like dead money, mm-hmm. right? Mm-hmm. So it's great. You do the right thing. You make a good investment, and then the money that's coming in off of rent just sits there and builds and slowly builds until you get enough money to go out and buy. So you're making a return, waiting to buy another, asset that's going to generate income. Mm-hmm. And I said, well, that's dead money. I was like, you should really look at MWMfund mm-hmm. as a place that you can start earning interest on your interest. You can earn up to 10% in our fund. And so just to talk a little bit about our fund, it's Money with Meaning Fund. It's a Regulation A Plus Tier 2 fund. Great, and there's some great features about it. One.
What does that mean, the Regulation A Plus Tier 2 fund?
So the Jobs Act basically passed it. It's a way for small businesses to have what they call basically a mini IPO. It's a way for us to raise money. We can sell shares in the company, the Money with Meaning Fund. So we're selling shares. So as the company does better, you do better. Mm-hmm. So we're incentivized to make the company obviously grow, and you get to participate in the upside in the company. So when we started the fund, we wanted to make it affordable and all-encompassing. So we can take accredited and non-accredited investors, and our minimum buy-in is $200, mm-hmm. which is super low.
Well, that right there is the unique selling proposition for me, because someone's collecting a rent payment, and maybe they're paying more than $200 for the rent, but other places maybe let's just say it's $500 flat a month for the rent. You can't exactly do this with other funds, because other funds require a minimum buy-in of sometimes the lowest I've seen is 1,000.
1,000 is usually the lowest, but you'll see 50,000,
or accredited only people.
Yeah, accredited only. So this is MWMfund. We have a minimum of $200. Mm-hmm. You don't have to be accredited. So we'll take accredited, obviously, but accredited, not accredited. So now, somebody who's made the right decisions, they've dotted all the I's, crossed all the T's, they're checking off, they're concerned about their financial future, they've got an investment property in their self-directed retirement account, mm-hmm. and after they pay taxes, insurance, and property management, they've got $600 or $700 at the end of the month. Mm-hmm. That just goes right back into their retirement account. Well, what we're proposing is start stacking your yields. Take 200 of that. Take 400, take all 600 of that coming in and put it into the fund. We're paying up to 10%, and there's no lock. What does that mean?
That means
that means you don't have to leave it in there for a required number of days. We have what's called a best efforts clause. So if you reach out and you say, look, I need my money, we do everything in our power that if we have the money there, we'll to check. If not, we'll sell an asset to get you your money back. Mm-hmm. It's a best efforts clause. So there's not really a lock period. So while your money is sitting there, instead of sitting there doing nothing, you can start earning interest, and that's compounding. And you know about the law of 72?
Oh yeah.
What's the law of 72?
Well, how many, you divide the 72 into the amount of number of years it's going to take you to double your money based off the interest rate you're earning.
Yep, and there you go. Basically, that's it. It's a rough explanation of it, but yeah, that's exactly what it is. And so if you can then start cutting down on this, and you can start shaving years
off your
doubling, it's that much quicker until you go ahead and you get you double your money and you can go buy another asset. And then what do? So you go from one asset to two assets, from 600 to 1200. So instead of putting away 7200, you're putting away 12. What is that?
I don't know. What are you doing the math on?
Huh? It's 14.4, right?
Oh,
is that right? Yeah. 14.2. So that now you're getting that money coming in, and so you just keep earning interest on interest on interest, and that's the position, that's the crux of it. That's what you want to look for. And so that's yield stacking. It really, it started out as the dead money play. That's what I said. I told the lady, I go, look, it's just, your money's dead. It's just dead money. And I was like, you need to start earning interest on that dead money. And then after, we looked at it, started refining it, talked to somebody. Somebody was talking about list stacking and stuff like that.
Yeah,
and we're like,
list stacking, that's right.
Yield stacking. It's like yield stacking.
Yeah, sounds so much better than just dead money.
It is, but it is. It's yield stacking, and that's the play. Is start stacking your yields. And so you can do this with any number of accounts out there. You can do it with. You can do it with your self-retirement accounts. And obviously, our fund is unique. We're investing in real estate and investing in mortgage notes. We have a small buy-in, but you don't have to do that with just our fund. You could do it with the stock market. You could buy stock with it. That's a fairly liquid asset. You go in, you buy stock. You could buy into REITs if the REIT doesn't have a minimum buy-in. So there's other options out there. We're just using MWMfund as an easy example because it's something that I'm very intimate with as a co-founder in it with TJ. And but you can do it with different accounts, retirement accounts. You can do
but the one thing is too that I would say makes it still a unique selling proposition in my mind is that if you're collecting the payments on whatever investment it is, and you're investing it into the MWM fund, you're doing this passively. If you're doing stocks, you got to watch for
Well, you got to know the market, and there's the volatility. There's the volatility in the market. So
and a lot of REITs are based around commercial, and so it's like they would have never seen this coming. So
right.
So it makes it. It's one of those things too that this is just me tooting our own horn, but like if somebody had been paying their mortgage through all what we've been through right now in the last 6 months, those notes that came out that other end are that much stronger because they actually made it through a time of crisis in the country. Or the world, and for everyone, but they believe so strongly that look, I'm going to keep paying my mortgage no matter what, and they performed through this. I think those notes are even stronger, and so that it also shows too that wow, the note industry, it stayed going. It stayed going. It didn't do a whole bunch of fluctuations and dips. So it's just for me, I think it's a more secure investment.
It is. Obviously you don't want to, it's. Every investment's got its risk. Everyone's got its risk. But, one of the nice things about the fund is what you said. There is some security. We've had an unbelievable real estate market the past 24, 36 months. Most of the notes that we have were all originated far prior to that. So there's tons of equity also protecting it. You're diversifying your risk. That's one of the nice things is, if you're buying one investment property, you have the upside. There's more of an upside. You're going to participate in appreciation. You may have bought it for super cheap, and you're looking at a 12 or 14% return on your investment, but you're actively managing that. But you're also, what happens if you have one rental property and the renter stops paying?
Oops.
What happens if the renter had stopped paying in April of this year?
And you're still paying the mortgage?
And you're still paying a mortgage, or you're just not getting anything right now. And as far as I know, across most of the country, there's still eviction moratoriums. So now your one asset is not generating any income.
Yeah.
If you're in the fund and somebody hits a snag and there's one issue, then you've got these other assets that can help carry it. So you may lose a little percentage, but not a lot of percentage.
Yeah.
And you can keep on moving and progressing forward. So,
yeah, this is being done with people on Paperstac right now. So that's pretty interesting. We've had users out there that have reached out, some made videos, and showed how they took it's pretty cool, an 8% yield. And they bought a performing note on Paperstac, yielding 8%. And they turn around and they're putting it into the MWM fund and making up to 18%. So, and up to, because it's what we're trying to pay out at MWM fund.
Oh, we're paying up to 10%. That's what it is. It's passive. Really, it's a nice passive investment. If you just want to put your money somewhere, the company we're working with is actually creating a wallet.
Yeah, I don't understand. Explain the
fund
wallet.
administrator, Sudrania. So just a little bit about the fund. We don't handle the capital in the fund. The money comes in. It goes to our fund administrator, Sudrania, and then anytime we want to spend cash, we have to notify them and say, here's what we're spending it for. Wow, we just came through our first audit, and that was, just, everything checked out. It's just, it's you just realize like how you have to have all the paperwork lined up. You have to track every single penny at every single day and every single hour and minute, so you know exactly where it is, what's going on. Thank goodness that we have fund administrators doing that. We have accountants looking over it, but we do that sort of let the hard work and leverage it off on the people who sort of monitor us. But then when we go out, we buy distressed assets. Not always by distressed, I don't mean that they're non-performing. I mean, we just bought a note the other day. It was a seller finance deal where the person who owned the note had to get out for health reasons. They're like, look, I've got health issues. I would like this off my plate. We take a look at the pay history, and they'd never missed a payment. They pay on the first every single time, never late,
Nice.
right? Even through all of this, but they just want it out. So that's a distressed sale. It's a distressed situation, and that's kind of where we capitalize. And we do buy scratch and dent stuff to help save people's houses and keep them in there. So we buy a litany of stuff, a bunch of different stuff.
Yeah, so anything that's real estate based can be bought in the fund, correct?
We can buy anything real estate based, which basically means that we can buy commercial real estate, single family real estate.
Wow.
We're not limited really on what we can and can't buy.
That's interesting. Yeah. I mean, this is definitely an interesting strategy, and there will be some more stuff. Somebody's writing a book on it, and so I'm trying to get them to get it out. So,
yeah, yield stacking. It's just an interesting play. It's something that when you don't really think about, but then when you see it, you're like, oh, that makes sense. And really, the opportunity wasn't there. Rarely would it be an opportunity for everybody to participate in, which you can do now, thanks to the Jobs Act, thanks to a fund like MWMfund that's got such a small buy-in of $200, and you can do that once, $200 once, or you can do a reoccurring thing, $200 a month. Or obviously the numbers go up. We have people, who invested $600,000 in the fund, so it's all over the place. Just it's something. There's something there for everybody, something that'll fit your needs.
yeah.
I think that's what's important, and it allows you to start, waking up your dead money and saying, not so fast, my friend. Put your soldiers to work, right? Start
right.
getting them out there earning something, as opposed to sitting on the sidelines just getting lazy, waiting for a bunch of their friends to show up so they can go buy some more assets.
No, I get it. Yeah, I mean, so just now that we've talked about the play of yield stacking, tell the audience, because this is predominantly people that are on Paperstac, so they might not be familiar with the MWM fund, and just kind of the story around it, because if you guys don't know, I'm not a part of that part of the company, but the story of the MWM fund is Money with Meaning, and it's basically TJ and Rick. They went through a lot of stuff, and we actually have a documentary about it. We'll link to it. And,
Yeah.
And so,
So when we got into buying notes, it was and some of you probably have heard the story and you're tuning out right now, but for those of you who haven't, we got into notes to get the house back, because my pedigree and TJ's pedigree was real estate investment. We knew how to take a house, get some extra value out of it, put some sweat, blood, and tears into it, and turn around and resell it for a profit. And so we accidentally, I say, bought a mortgage note in 2012 and did really well on it. We bought it for $90,000 in debt for $8,400. Got the property back and resold it for $38,000, all in about 14 days. And we really got hooked on notes at that point, but we were just doing it to get the house back. So we would buy vacant properties or properties where they were so far behind that we would go in and we'd offer them cash for the house. Here's a deed in lieu, or if worst case, we'd have to foreclose. Mm-hmm. And we went and got some education after about 13 to 14 months, and we learned something. It was in Fort Lauderdale. I'll never forget it. On the ride back, we were like, wow, they were talking about not just the non-performing side, but the performing side or the re-performing side. Mm-hmm. And we started learning all these different exit strategies other than taking the house back.
Yeah.
And so, we had a book or a portfolio of loans. So we just started on the ride back from Fort Lauderdale. We were still doing borrower outreach at the time. We said, well, let's call this one.
Yeah.
They've at least been open to talking with this, and they don't really want to give the house up. We kind of knew the story. It was an older gentleman living there. His wife had passed away. We were communicating with the daughter. That's where, she kind of grew up. And it was just a really tough situation. It was kind of primed for approaching it with a different philosophy, a different mentality. Mm. And so we said, well, we called them up, and I think we were into it for $30,000, and the debt was $50,000. Total payoff was like $70,000. House was worth like $70,000-ish. And we're like, hey, why don't, if we accepted a short payoff of like $45,000, I think it was, and the numbers might be a little off, but it was somewhere like we weren't going to kill it, but we were going to do pretty good. And the lady, the daughter just started breaking down and crying on the phone. And we're like, wow, this is amazing. We were able to save this person's home for them, mm-hmm. let them keep the house. They did a short payoff. We made a pretty good return, but we managed that deal for profit and purpose.
So what's a short payoff, by the way?
So the short payoff is, they owed $70,000. Mm-hmm. The principal balance they owed was $55,000, and the past due fees and all this stuff was put it up to $70,000. And so we're like, look, we'll accept $45,000. So it's a short payoff.
Okay.
And
makes sense.
Yeah, and it just worked. Mm-hmm. And it was great because they started that sort of did a paradigm shift for us. Mm-hmm. It was like a refocus to where at that point we started looking at assets. We started looking at more assets because now we weren't just looking for stuff where we thought we could get the house back. We're like, we need to look for stuff where we can start helping people. Yeah. And then we're like, well, this is great. We love it. So we started doing that, and we're like, we should make a fund that allows everybody to participate in the returns, but also they're like-minded. They have a mission of, look, I want to do well and do good. Yeah. I want to make money.
Operate with a double bottom line.
Yes, that's it. We operate with a double bottom line for profit and purpose. Mm-hmm. So it's been so rewarding. It's been great, and it's also, it's nice because I've been on the other end of that where you take the house back and the people sign the house over, but they do it begrudgingly because you give them a check. Yeah. And at the end of the day, there's two kinds of equity. There's that the money equity that they have in a house, but then there's the emotional equity. Mm-hmm. And a lot of times that emotional equity so far outweighs the equity. Trading memories for money all day long.
Yeah, I could see that. I mean, that's important, especially when it's like a family house. It's like my parents, they don't want to, I mean, they've been there
forever, right?
30-something years.
My mom and dad are in the house. We moved to Florida, and we rented a house in Orange Tree, in Dr. Phillips, and then they moved into the house that they're in now, and they're still there. Yeah. And so, they've been through, there's been so many memories there of, us growing up,
Yeah. Yeah, it's the emotional equity.
Yeah, my brother passed away in the house. So, right. There's just, that's emotional equity, and you can't, it's tough to give that up. Mm-hmm. And then when you're investing and you're investing people's money to help make a profit, but then you can invest in other people's lives and their their sanity or whatever, it's awesome, right? Because then you can go in there and you can save someone's house. You know, maybe I'm sure the lady that passed away in that house. Mm-hmm. Now, instead of that guy losing the house and losing that little connection, he can keep it.
That's good.
Yeah, so it's MWM is the name of it, Money with Meaning Fund. We found a way to connect money and meaning, and so it's been a great journey. It's been a great ride. It's like
some of the cool things, at least, that I'm always like, wow, that's really interesting. Is when you guys get rolling and you get TJ talking about it. I remember one day you weren't in the office, but it was me and TJ, and he started at like 8:30, whatever. We were sitting there talking. And we're at lunch, and we're eating. We're at Red Robin's.
And you said two words.
I hadn't said a word. He's like, hey, we're eating. He's like, so what do you think? I was like, I think this is the first word I've said all day.
That's it.
But he gets going.
He's passionate, man.
He's very passionate.
He's passionate about it. It's
the vision's huge. Like he'll say, like, well, I remember we were at Panera Bread. It was just me and him again on a Friday. He was saying, we're gonna be doing this we're working with the housing counselor, getting them job assistance, resume work. Brett, I need you to help me find stuff for kids to get them coding education. We're going to be turning their yards into urban farms, and if they want to, so that'll make that note a better note because that person's got something that they're working towards, and that money goes straight towards.
The vision is huge, right?
Yeah.
The vision is
like,
big.
He's like, yeah, that, and then he was like, we're going to do the solar, and then we're going to do the what was the other, the group homes. And so he had all these things that he's like, all right, we're going to plan all these things together, and then we're going to raise this amount. He's like, can you figure out how to do that? I was like, TJ, actually, you're scaring the crap out of me. I don't think I could hear that. I mean, when someone says these ideas are crazy, it is kind of crazy, but it's like at the same time, it's like, well, how do you do it? I mean, we're not Elon Musk trying to go to Mars, but it's like one of those things where, yeah, those ideas are nuts. It takes a lot. He's like, because once we do this once successfully, and people see the mission and see what we've done for change, then we go to people like the Rockefellers and get $1 billion to do this, and then make it that much bigger. I'm like,
right. We'll start with saving 10,000 people's homes, right?
Yeah.
And then you start adding pieces along you go, get some momentum, and that's what we're doing right now. So it's
cool, and that plays right into the yield stack. So you buy the notes on Paperstac or whatever other investment type you have, but we prefer when you buy the notes on Paperstac. So you buy the performing notes on Paperstac, you put it into MWMfund. You're contributing to something that is positive. You're earning income and you're yield stacking your money. So it's makes you sleep better at night. That's what I think it does.
Yeah, of course. Who doesn't like some good sleep?
That's right. So yeah, this is it for episode. I think this is episode 13.
Is it 13?
Yeah. Yeah, we're trying to get to number 20 before we start bringing on the guests. So we got to get in the groove, get. That's what they say. Get 20 underneath your belt, because then you're comfortable.
Yeah.
And you won't look. And by the way, if you watch our last episode, Rick was talking about having the video and all that stuff come. I figured out how to do it. So there's an app. There is a way to do it, and so we'll do it next time. What
are you talking about?
You don't remember when I was like, how am I going to record if we have guests on here?
Yeah, oh yeah. You got it?
Yeah, there's an app that just connects. You connect it to your camera, and that goes through
Brad
here.
figures it out. Like, I'll come up with something, or TJ will come up with something. Like, Brad, we need you to figure. This is what we want to do.
Yeah.
How can we do this?
Yeah, and then I Googled it.
Dr. Google.
A lot of Facebook groups, and it's out there. You just got to search, really I went like this. Hey, Greg, what are you using to do that? Pick up the phone, call him, because I saw he was doing it.
Dial a friend,
and he's a good video guy. He's really smart, so I know exactly if he can do it. He's gonna inform me how he did it, and then we're gonna do it next time. So that's it for this episode of the Paperstac podcast.
Yes.
Remember, we have Ask Paperstac if you have your own questions, things you want answered.
Follow and like.
Yep.
Follow and like always helps. We
That's
need
right.
that. You hear it, you see it, just do it. It's so easy. Click it.
Yeah. If you have a topic that you want us to cover on this, and we go deep diving, you have something note specific that you want to know.
You know what it's called when you go diving in a tunnel or in a hole?
Scary? Is that what it's?
Spelunking.
Spelunking?
Spelunking. That's the word of the day for you. Spelunking.
Yeah, I remember they used to do that. We were both UF alumni, so they have I took scuba diving.
I went to UF. I didn't graduate from UF.
Oh, well.
Graduated from UCF. UF thought it best if I pack up my partying self and leave.
Yeah, I took scuba diving as
Scuba diving.
I took scuba diving as a class, and I didn't get certified. The teacher didn't like me. You know, I was joking when we were signing up when we first got there. He's like, "Okay, who's Brett Berkey?" I was like, "That's me." He's like, "Why'd you say?" Said something like drinking a lot or something like, or like it was a joke to the you know, because it's in the class. I thought it'd be funny. Yeah. He's like, "Well," I was like, "Well, what's too much?" You know, and he's like, "I don't know, a case." I was like, "A night?" He didn't think that was funny, so he always had it out for me. Like I would be a couple minutes late, and he could see me run to the class, and he'd shut the gate, and I was like, "You son of a gun!" I'd run and I'd jump over the gate, and I'd get in the class, and then he would take all my stuff and he would throw it in the deep end of the pool, and you'd have to swim down, clear your goggles, blow out your air, and then come back up. And so then when it came time to get certified, we were doing it at Silver Springs.
Yeah.
And
you were late?
No. I was on time, but I was really excited. But he paired me with this girl that I was like, "Why are you taking scuba diving classes? You should be taking snorkeling, because that's what you're doing. You put this and you go down. You don't sit here and float on top." I mean, I was like, you know, "Let's go snorkeling." And so, I mean, scuba diving. And, you know, she was like, "I just want to stay near the top of the water." I was like, "Then I am out of here. I'm going." And so then I went down.
You left your partner.
Rule number 1, never leave your partner.
Yeah.
And so he didn't tell me I wasn't certified until we got back to Gainesville. He's like, "Oh, well, then you can come and try it again when we go to the Keys." I'm like, "Oh, yeah, like I have that kind of money to go to the Keys and go get certified."
Is that why you got failed? Because you left your wingman?
Yeah. He was gonna make sure I didn't pass that class, and so I never got certified. But I know how to do it. I just don't have a certification. So
I think we're about to get certified.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Anyways, Paperstac podcast. We're out for the day.
See ya.
See ya.